let us go on. Last night, the executive committee met for dinner last evening down at Fraser Meadows. We just had a wonderful time. Charlie Paul was not able to be with us because of his illness, but he was. We had him on a speakerphone, so he was part of the conference as we proceeded. And he has recommended that we move this unit on to the next level. And to that goal, our meeting was devoted last night to what we called a strategic planning session. And we've had to take a good hard look at ourselves, and now it's very vital that we proceed on. We're now 15 years old. We've come to the point where we have to, as the teenagers do, we've got to start to mature. We have to extend ourselves out. We've got to go to college and learn more. So this is a good movement time for us to try to extend ourselves as we're trying to build our membership at the same time. So what we had last night, we had some good hard look at ourselves. Unfortunately, we didn't have the entire group there, but we had some feelings that what we did was solid. And Bennett led us through that session. And what I would like very much is for Bennett to fill us in. I know we're just so time constrained, but Bennett will just give you a concise rundown on what we did, and then we will proceed on from there. Bennett.
That's okay. It switches off.
It's okay.
Good afternoon, almost evening for everyone. Just want to thank President Walsh for having me and giving me the opportunity to kind of present this information to you. And I'm going to go, as you said, very quickly, because we've got some other membership business to take care of today as well. But I want to make sure I go through a couple of things. The organization's 15 years old and has done an enormous amount of work over that course of time in spite of not having, quote unquote, a strategic plan. And a lot of the success organizations have been all volunteer-led and driven. And so the organization to the fork in the road has golden opportunities to move forward, but it's got to have some type of focus. And so this is a draft that the executive board has developed over a 3-hour period, has to go out to stakeholders for additional review and commentary and input, but we think you'll be pleased with at least the shell, if you will, of what they've come up with. A couple of things here, mission and vision. Although the organization to some extent had a mission, felt it was very broad, if you will, so they kind of pared it down a little bit. Doesn't change the direction or who you work for, if you will, or who you're working on behalf of, but it kind of states it in a different way. So basically collaborating nationwide, obviously we are a national organization, and collaborating for the purpose of promoting, protecting, and improving the chosen lifestyle of residents and future residents. And that would be the new mission, and this is a draft, so it's going to be formalized and debated and adopted ultimately. Vision is effectively what do we want to be, how do we want to be perceived in the marketplace, and we did not have a vision. So NaCCRA aspires to be a respected advocate and resource providing valued services, education, and benefits to a growing and diversified population of CCRC residents in the U.S. So you see some recurring themes and buzzwords here, and like I said, we're going fairly quickly, just to kind of give you a flavor of what the group came up with as a draft document. We went through briefly a SWOT analysis and just kind of hit some of the high points. Strengths are we've got a committed volunteer base around the country, and many of which are in this room. Had very good success ultimately over time with little resources. So the premise is if we had additional membership, additional financial resources, what could the organization do? Most of it, again, has been without outside assistance in terms of paid staff resources. It's all mostly a volunteer effort. Some of the weaknesses is preponderance of the membership of NaCCRA is in Florida and Connecticut. Although we do have diversity of where our membership is based, there's a strong nucleus of folks in a couple of states. Out of the 50 states, very few have a state resident association. And so the grassroots aspect of Reverend Nicholson's point of reaching out is difficult because you don't have a gateway to get in other than a community-by-community basis. And there's not like a phone book of CCRC residents. You've got a registry of each community, some of which are very difficult to come by. So it's not like we have this ready-made list to go out and start marketing to. The threats, obviously, the economy, some states are having more difficulty than others in terms of occupancy rates. So, if new residents aren't moving in, you clearly don't have prospects to recruit. And there's lots of different senior-related advocacy groups out there. Now, NaCCRA is the only one that focuses on continuing care, which is important. But there's a lot of groups in terms of elder affairs or senior-related issues that people have to choose from in terms of discretionary spending options. But the sky is the limit on the opportunity. And then you just heard from your previous speaker, there is no organization that has our mission and purpose. No other organization is trying to advocate for residents in this kind of perspective. And 400,000, prospects, if you will, if you take the total global spectrum of continuing care options out there. So I'm going to quickly go through just some operational stuff from last night and then get into the plan. There's some board motions that we thought would be of interest to you so you know what transpired, at least on a couple of operational items. You heard about one from President Walsh. Effectively, Jack Cummings been appointed as research director for NaCCRA. Yes, you can clap for that if you want. And they really want to make sure that the organization, and I'm sure Lifeline will do some narrative on this, publicly thank him for not only his labor commitment to NaCCRA, but also his financial support over the last couple of years, really of helping NaCCRA elevate its stature and its programs and services. Thank him for his work in the past and in the future, so there's kind of a hook there. Now, the board motion, other is ultimately the strategic plan we're going to go through in a moment. Effectively, the goal is to bring this out to stakeholders around the country and bring this forward. Ultimately, the board itself, executive board, would approve the final draft by January 13 and roll this out to the membership at the spring, April meeting in Florida next year. The other thing that's been in tandem, and we've got some handouts we'll pass out to you. Jack Cummings and some others have done a yeoman's job over the last year and a half or more of refining and proposing new bylaws. And ultimately, the board wants to move forward with that action as well, but they want to make sure the strategic plan coincides and links up properly with the provisions in the bylaws before they're ultimately approved. So both of those documents, if you will, would be approved concurrently so that they're linked together. Another one was to effectively have Val Lane, your editor, Marlene Marner, work on developing a process whereby vendor advertising could be integrated into the Lifeline to help diversify your non-news revenue sources to help the organization. Strategic plan, I'll get into that quickly for you. We broke it up into 4 areas, and this basically gives you kind of the template of what we followed. Program services and benefits, financial/membership, governance, public policy /advocacy. The premise was to come up with 4 to 5 key program areas to focus on, knowing you can't do 50 things very well, and pare it down in terms of priorities. So I would say that what you're going to see here is effectively about 90% of the way. Some of the things that have to be fill in the blanks is timelines and any anticipated cost, either one-time cost or recurring costs that may be associated with implementing or executing some of these areas. And in some cases, whether or not a new committee needs to be appointed or things like that. So program services and benefits, again, just going to kind of run through this fairly quickly. NaCCRA, a goal is NaCCRA will be a valued educational resource on CCRC subject matter. Some strategies related to that. One, you effectively have a process, but to fine-tune this is to basically, NaCCRA effectively is a one-man show in the sense that Jack Cummings has been putting the content together and kind of going through the encyclopedia of elements that's out there and repackaging it for resident review and the other interested party. But the key is how would NaCCRA maintain that as a vital benefit going forward. And so to create a task force to kind of a business plan, if you will, that would speak to how would this be maintained going forward in the future. And so there'll be a committee of Jack Cummings and Charlie Paul to come back to the board hopefully in the spring next year with what that looks like. Membership/financial area. The goal, the broader goal is NaCCRA will improve its current marketing and communication to ensure members understand the value of current and future benefits. I would say something that's probably going to also include prospective members too. Strategies related to that provide different mediums that allow members to have access to peer-to-peer information. NaCCRA will continue to provide a print version of Lifeline and offer the ability to download the publication online. And then NaCCRA will improve the promotion of NaCCRA by integrating relevant content in Lifeline. So kind of cross-populating those two vehicles so people know that they can read some tidbits in Lifeline, but can go get more of a broader, comprehensive subject matter on NaCCRA. Another goal related to membership and financial, just NaCCRA had to have as a membership base and other mission-related revenue sources that allows it to adequately fund necessary programs and services. Going back to the mission and vision, as you saw, the mission and the vision spoke to serving a broader population of residents out there nationwide. The only way to do that is to have the adequate financial resources and relevant value benefits that will kind of push that train along. The other one is, and this is kind of one, in this plan, as I said, is a draft. So this gives you an indication of hopefully what the final plan will look like. We'll have some performance metrics related to it, so you can kind of measure success over the execution of some of these areas. So membership, as an example, NaCCRA shall achieve a net gain of membership from September 12 to September 13 by 10%. It's modest, but it gives you kind of a roadmap, if you will, a metric to work from. Some strategies related to that: each NaCCRA board member will make a personal commitment to approach 10 non-individual members by the close of 2013 to recruit them to become individual or lifetime members. One important one, they're all important, this one specifically, NaCCRA shall develop a planned giving or endowment fundraising campaign by spring of 2013. We've had, we hear him a lot, Mr. Cummings is very humble, but has been our most significant contributor by far to the organization. We've had others match his contributions to some extent, but with your C3 designation, that's a great opportunity for folks that believe in the mission of NaCCRA to step up and help provide some diversification of revenue. Last strategy related to this area is NaCCRA seeks to work with Cigna, the insurance company, on developing a formal proposal for long-term care insurance services and other products that they have that will be of interest or attractive to our membership base, and we'll come forward to the membership in spring of 13 on a formal, what I call affinity program, if you will. Governance, NaCCRA should have a governance structure that allows them to effectively conduct business and be in a position to be proactive on issues of resident interest. One of the strategies is NaCCRA shall review its existing governance structure as part of the bylaws amendment process. The process will include a review of existing member categories as it relates to voting rights and privileges. A lot of that work has been done, and you'll see the proposed bylaws, so we're fairly close to where we need to be in terms of that particular area. Another strategy here, NaCCRA shall review the existing job descriptions of board and officer positions to ensure the adequately defined duties and responsibilities, and it's also includes developing a clear, concise scope of duties for the new research director position. So we can't put everything on this gentleman in the front row that's labeled research. That would not be fair or reasonable.
That's great.
That's right. Okay. Public policy and advocacy. NaCCRA shall be proactive on launching new efforts that seek to ensure the quality of life and protection of resident investments. Again, you've got some activities that are already in motion. What this does is kind of streamline their objectives and some of their outcomes. The NaCCRA Financial Soundness Committee will release a model bill for state CCRC legislation by fall of 2013. that encompasses best practices that should be present in all state CCRC regulations. Some of those topics you brought up today in that open discussion. NaCCRA Financial Soundness Committee shall develop a white paper on accounting standards that can be changed relative to CCRC operations. Secondary strategies, NaCCRA shall monitor, and these are some ongoing activities, but it's stating it very clearly that is a part of our role, is monitor key federal proposals that have a direct impact, and then subsequently key state proposals that would have positive or negative impact in terms of setting precedent for state regulations across the country. So that, the last one relates to kind of, I would say, lease up some of the other areas. Because like I said earlier, there's a lot of things that NaCCRA's been able to do, primarily through volunteer efforts, to kind of defend against bad things happening or streamline some positive things. So the key here is to, between public policy and the membership aspect, is to develop a marketing committee that develops a plan that better communicates the recurring regulatory or legislative successes that this organization has achieved on behalf of residents, and make sure your current and your prospective members understand what those are from a pocketbook standpoint, because some of them are quite significant financially year after year. That gives you the quick shell of direction where the group that developed this draft came up with during 3 hours last night in terms of a really focused planning session. This is step 1. Step 2 is stakeholder input. Step 3 effectively is ratification and further debate, and then ultimately, hopefully, the membership and the leadership will adopt a plan, and this would be a plan that would be updated on an ongoing basis. So we appreciate your time.
And our telephone conferencing that's happening is going to happen.
I don't know if we have maybe one or two
Footnote to this excellent presentation and the very deeply appreciated leadership of our friend, and that is that there is a 4th category of membership called providers, who are associate members, and we have 2 of those people that are here in disguise opposing as residents. Providers can be associate members of NaCCRA, and if you have an executive director or director of resident services, you reach in your pocket and you say, we would like to have you to be a part of NaCCRA with us. And the people who are here, who are under disguise, have been given that invitation personally. But you can do it yourself in your facilities. We need providers along with residents in NaCCRA.
Just to follow up on the plan, the intent is to broaden out a couple of conference calls with stakeholders once you've had a chance to kind of digest this, and there'll be an opportunity for some additional input on refining this plan during between now and the first of the year. So we'll make you apprised of that for any interested stakeholders.
And I cannot thank Bennett enough for guiding our sled to last night. It was just a very, very fruitful session. We ate and we talked and we thought, and it was really a wonderful time. And not only a wonderful time, but it was very productive. And I just thank everybody who's worked so hard. So stay tuned, because we're, as Bishop Tutu said today, we have an eagle, and that eagle's going to take flight and it's going to take off, and that's going to be us. That we just have to have faith that it'll happen, and it will. And so, thank you so much, Bennett. Thank you so much, AV. And so here we are. We have a few minutes left. And what I would like to do is to have Al LeBlanc just do a quick review of the minutes from last year, last April's meeting, and then a quick treasurer's report, because this was one of the issues we talked about last evening. So, Walt, your name is Al. If you come on up and give that.
Well, I think I can do it. I think I can do it from here. The minutes were given out. There were a couple of comments. We changed them. I have brought some copies for those people who would like them. And if their copies are all gone, if you'll just get in touch with me, I'll give you my email, and I'll be happy to send you a copy. Is that?
That's pretty fast.
Right.
Okay, and one of the, yes,
Proposing we accept the minutes
Well, if there was no objection, they didn't send out, so no objection, they're approved as presented. And so quickly, Joe, and I know one of the things that we had talked about was, are you going to speak to that a bit, Lori?
It's been a long day. Treasurer's reports are so exciting. So I'll be brief, be bright, and gone. Just to recap very quickly, 9 months actual figures, our revenue from all sources is $33,000. Our total expenses are around $26,000. Bottom line is black, very much black, and looking good at the end of 9 months. Projecting ahead for this year, 2012, expect revenue to be around $43,000. The total expenses are around $40,000. So we'll still end up on the very much on the positive side. Just a quick note on where this money comes from and where it is spent. About 60% of our revenue comes from dues. And just taking that category by itself, all the income from dues, 62% of it, my projection here, comes from individuals that enroll in our program. So the message is spread the word. We're looking to build our membership, and you can contribute and help us in that way. About 36% comes from donations, and I'll have another quick word on that in a moment. And then about 4% from miscellaneous sources, principally income from meetings. Where does the money go? About 45% is administrative support. About 30% goes for member services. The Lifeline, our website, all of the things that we do to serve our members are in that figure. And then about 20% numbers is spent on officer travel, and then for miscellaneous items about 5%. On donations, up until the end of 2010, our income from dues was sufficient to cover our expenses. Starting in 2011, that started to change. And we became more dependent upon donations to cover our expenses. And there's a reason for that. So we're in the process of growing our business to the next level, to provide better services. And to kickstart that, we were fortunate to have a donor that gave a significant contribution. In fact, over the past 2 years, the contributions from that donor amounted to about 60% of our total income from donations. And that's enabled us to do a lot of things. Among them, what we accomplished this year is a consolidation of administrative services to improve the quality of those services and at the same time reduce costs. That's just one example of the things that we've been able to do. And I want to express my appreciation to Partners in the Association and to my good friend here who's been so helpful and helped us in all of this. So, looking ahead, the challenges, it's unrealistic to continue to expect this balance between income from dues and donations to continue as it has. We're off and running, but now others have to step up. That's already happening. It happened right in this very same room a few minutes ago, and I'm sure it's going to continue on. So that's the direction that we're going in to restore that balance, and the future is very bright and very exciting. And we've got the lot of great ideas here on the marketing side and how to reach out to residents across the country that are already in CCRCs and those that are potential residents. So unless you have any questions, I will thank you, and I'll be off and running. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. We're just rolling right along here super quickly. If there are no questions about the report, then that'll stand and will be filed. We have several committees that are very hard at work, and one of them is the Financial Fairness Committee. I asked Walt if he talked very briefly about what's happening with that committee, because that is in line with all the kinds of things we've been talking about with Amy and Joe and everyone else.
Since we're due to depart in 30 seconds, I'll try to keep it to that very quickly.
Mike, come on up.
You can hand the mic there.
Use a hand mic
The
here.
hand mic.
I'll try, this one's not turned on. Probably good for it. Last spring, Ruth asked me to chair a financial soundness committee, and over the summer, we formulated a committee with several members of NaCCRA, had a considerable discussion about email, on the charge that was given to us, and what we should do about it, and four basic areas of focus that we just feel that we should be looking at in the next year. And in the interest of getting this done in 30 seconds, I will tell you that I wrote a 3-page report discussing all of this and the rationale behind the areas of focus that we chose. There are copies of it on the table by the entrance, and you're welcome to pick up a copy and read it in depth. Thank you very much. Is that short?
That was great, and short and sweet. Have a question? Don't go away, or no question? No, all right. Anybody have a question of Walt? All right. Then Bob Nicholson, would you just come up
I've said everything I know.
and say a little bit more? Because it's really crucial.
Our speaker said that we need to survey the membership and ask, why did you join NaCCRA? And the answer is simple. Somebody asked me. We grow membership by talking to residents. We grow membership in states by going into states and going community by community and talking to residents and directors. There are, 38 states where we have no members. We need to be there, and we need to be working with leading age to get some leads. I have proposed, and it's one of my many ideas that never got off the ground. But Jack and I, we have all kinds of ideas, and people look at us. But I proposed to get our name before all leading age CCRCs. We, as residents, should nominate 16 people for our 16th anniversary who are executive directors that embody, model, empowering residents as partners in developing a quality of life in this chosen lifestyle. Last year, the providers identified 50 residents. I thought, if they can identify us, why can't we identify them? And that way we get our name in all the electronic media and magazines of leading age, and people who are out in Nebraska and New Mexico and Missouri, where I've been, where they don't even know what you're talking about, say, oh, hey, this is something. So we get our name and our contact, and we can follow up in those places. That's the end of the report.
Now you gotta just keep driving on it, and we just gotta do it. It'll happen. Beth High, who's chairman of our nominating committee, is here, and I'd just like her to give a quick report Everything's quick today.
On the back of the Financial Soundness Committee interim report, there is a little teeny thing. In essence, I am saying, please give me a call or email of any ideas that you have of people who might make good officers for the board. We have a couple positions that will be needed to be filled in April. I'm trying to talk the board into staying for another couple of years, all of them. It makes my work easier, but it also makes for more continuity. So we want people who will stay for a couple months, a couple years, and so we can really have continuity and the team that we have together now is working very well to get the bylaws and strategic plans through. But we also need a couple more people on the nominating committee, particularly in Florida. So any Florida people here, let me know who you think might be good for nominating. Or actually you have to tell Ruth, she has to appoint them.
Yeah. Good. Thank you so much. Marty, anything on Lifeline?
For those of you that would like to help do a little membership recruiting, there are some extra copies of Lifeline back on the table. Take a few with you because that often interests people in joining.
And we're talking about what's on exhibition. We had, last year, we had a booth at the exhibition center downstairs. And we were in Washington. It was wonderful. And this one, after we finally found it, we've got a really neat location. But we have an exposition booth down there, and it's number 647.
Everybody has a copy. I gave it to them.
Oh, good. And we set it up this morning pretty well. There's all kinds of information that's available. We're members that are here are going to be reading and meeting everybody, and we just not cost them, but we just get right out in the center of the aisle as they come by and introduce ourselves and ask them to come and just talk with us for a while and giving our cards out. So it's been a really successful. We've met some real neat people. So just trying to let everybody know who we are, because as we know, when you say NaCCRA, they say NaCCRA, what? And so we didn't want that to happen. We wanted people to know who we are. So find booth 647. You got to walk a few miles. It's nearest to the Wii bowling tournament that's going to be going on. So find it and find us and come by and say hi. The other thing is that we are going to be having our annual meeting next April, and it's April 4, 5, 6. And I called Charlie Paul and asked what he would think about trying to find a host for us down in Florida. And he volunteered the carpenters for us to meet. So and I thought it would be a great opportunity, because we don't have anybody rushing to go anywhere, to be able to have some workshops. We're hoping to have Professor Catherine Pearson with us, who is very much in on all kinds of things financial. So we're going to have some workshops. We're going to really have a productive session, and we'll have some fun at the same time. But it's going to run about three days total. And so that will be very good. Unfortunately, Bennett's going to be away. But I know he'll be thinking of us, and we'll be thinking of you in that. So please think about that, and please plan to attend that. And if you can think of any workshops you would be beneficial to you, let me know, and we'll try to get that going, because I got to get that underway. And so if there are any questions or any comments, or I know you brought yes.
I think you ought to mention your Tuesday morning at what is it, 8 o'clock?
Oh yes, Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock is that's a workshop we're going to be having, and it starts at 8 to 9:30, and that is in Skyline, or where is it? Did you get that down there? Anyway, Jack, you want to talk about that for a minute?
Well,
that workshop, if you can come.
Ballroom 3, AB. Ballroom 3, AB.
Ballroom 3, AB. Ballroom.
I don't know that there's a lot to say. That we had couched it, or in our proposal, was how residents can help providers, and they've turned it around to be what providers can learn from residents, which is interesting. So we're going to talk about provider-resident cooperation, and Charlie Paul was originally going to be with us, and since he can't be here, Marlene has graciously jumped in, and Ruth's going to be there, and Ruth's executive director, Heather Turner, and some actuary from California. And I think it'll be interesting. We hope it'll be interactive. I'm a little shocked now to learn that it's in a ballroom. They must think we're going to draw a crowd. I don't know
Well, they had
that'll
219 already.
290?
Yes.
My word.
Yeah, so we got a good crowd if they all come, but who can get up and be here by 8 o'clock in the morning? Everybody? Yeah.
What time do they start the breakfast at our hotel?
No, we're gonna have to go by cab, I guess. Yes, sir.
Ruth, is your facility operated by CRSA or OCS?
It's the LCS out of Des Moines, Iowa. And we are for profit. And so, I think everybody, either for profit or not for profit, we agonize this time of year when the monthly service fee goes up and all those things. So it's a real challenge. But I so appreciate your coming today and for your attention. If there's anything in the workshop line, please let us know so we can get working on that, because April will be here before we know it. But I thank you. Thank you. And I got to thank Bennett again. He has done human service. He's just outstanding.